Welcome to Lesson 27, Windows, the operating system you'll be wrestling with on roughly 70% of the desktops that hit your queue. Over the next few pieces, we'll cover the four pillars that close tickets fast: NTFS and drive letters, the registry, services, and the diagnostics duo of Event Viewer and Task Manager. Master these 6 admin tools, and "my Windows is broken" stops being a mystery. It becomes a workflow. Let's start with the foundation. Storage. Windows hands every drive a letter. C is always the operating system. D is typically data. And E onward covers USB sticks or mapped network shares, like the UNC path // server share. Underneath those letters sits NTFS, the file system that's been standard since 2001, handling per-user permissions, journaling that survives power loss, and volumes up to 256 terabytes. The two facts that close tickets: access denied almost always means wrong NTFS permissions. Check the security tab or use takeown/F to grab ownership and know your folder's cold. C Windows is the OS. C users holds profiles, and System32 is hands-off unless you really know what you're doing. From files, we move up to configuration. And in Windows, that all lives in the registry. Think of it as one giant hierarchical database holding every setting for the OS and your apps, organized into 5 root hives. The two you'll touch most are HKCU for the current user and HKLM for system-wide stuff. And you open it by typing regedit in start. Paths read like file paths, but with backslashes, and most fixes are just flipping a DORD from 0 to 1. One rule, no exceptions: file, export. Save a DRIG backup before you change anything. A bad edit can leave Windows unbootable. Now zoom out. The registry is just one of 6 tools that orbit the Windows kernel, and every ticket you'll ever close lives inside one of them. Task Manager with Ctrl+Shift+Esc for processes and resource hogs, services via services.msc for background stuff you need to stop or restart, disk management through disk-mgm-MSC for partitions and drive letters. On the right, Event Viewer at Event VBR MSC for logs and BSOD codes, regedit for config, and gpadit.msc for group policy on Pro and Enterprise. Hit Win+R, type the command, you're in. Memorize this map as it's your whole job. Let's zoom in on services. Those are background processes that boot before anyone logs in, running with elevated privileges, and a typical PC has somewhere between 150 and 300 of them humming along. Print spooler, Windows Update, antivirus, networking, all services. Open the console with Win+R, then services.msc, and learn the 4 startup types: automatic, auto-delayed, manual, disabled. When a user says, "I can't print," you'll right-click Spooler and hit Restart. That closes 9 out of 10 of those tickets. And when you're ready to scale, PowerShell's Get Service and Start Service CMDlets do it all without the GIO. Now, when a ticket actually lands on your desk, 2 tools handle 90% of the diagnosis. Task Manager, Ctrl+Shift+Esc, shows you what's happening right now, which process is pinning the CPU, what's eating RAM, what's slowing boot from the Startup tab. Event Viewer, the Event WMC, shows you what already happened: application crashes, driver failures, the exact reason that PC rebooted at 3 in the morning. Grab the event ID, paste it into Google, and you've got your fix. Perfman and Resmon are the deeper cuts. Learn those once these two are muscle memory. Let's put those tools to work on 4 tickets you'll actually see. Slow boot. Task Manager, Startup tab. Kill the high-impact junk like Spotify and Discord. Leave antivirus alone. Printer stuck? Services.msc. Restart the print spooler, and if it's still wedged, clear the SHD and SPL files out of the printer's folder. Blue screen? Event Viewer, find the critical event, grab the bug check code, Google it. Need disk space, disk-mgmt for the layout, clean mgr for temp files, windir-stat to see what's actually hogging the drive. One symptom, one tool, that's the whole game. Before we wrap, lock in the language. These 12 terms show up in every ticket, every KB article, every PowerShell script you'll touch. NTFS is the file system that holds your permissions. Registry is the config database with HKLM for system-wide and HKCU for the logged-in user. A service is a background process you manage in services.msc. PID identifies a running process. BSOD is a kernel crash with a bug check code. And anything ending in .msc is a console snap-in. Group policy, UAC, WinXSS, PowerShell. Speak these fluently, and you sound like a Windows tech, not a beginner. Now let's kill some myths, because these 5 show up in tickets constantly. Don't defrag SSDs. Windows already runs trim on the right schedule. Skip registry cleaners. They break more than they fix. Don't mass disable services. Kill startup apps instead. Updates are mostly fine and patch real exploits. Just wait a week or 2. And more RAM only helps if RAM was actually the bottleneck. Check Task Manager's committed value before anyone spends money. And that's Windows locked in. You've got the NTFS layout, the registry hives, services.msc for daily triage, and Task Manager plus Event Viewer for when things go sideways. That's a real help desk toolkit. Next up, Leeson 28, we cross the aisle to macOS. APFS launched in Terminal. Same job, different operating system, 6 OS lessons, and a capstone to go. See you in the next one.